Hi, this is Martyn Jones of goodstrat.com, the Good Strategy Company. And I'm going to talk about why I think that Agile at scale is bullshit by design. To paraphrase the great advertising legend Bob Hoffman, just when you thought that if evangelists for Agile were to generate one more ounce of bullshit, that the entire fucking solar system would explode, what do? Exceed expectations. And how did they do that? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Agile at scale with all the miscellaneous, spiced up and vainglorious crap on the side that accompanies it. Yes, Agile at scale is taking IT bullshit to an entirely new level, in an entirely new dimension, and on a completely different planet, and it's not a good look. Historically speaking, Agile at scale has come out of the same idea-mangling, cult-ridden and learning-averse factory that was built on the back of an offshoot of IT by the very same ignoramuses, egomaniacs and code bodgers that brought you extravagant claims about the power, sophistication and cost-effectiveness of HTML, Java and Hadoop. Just look at it. Agile at scale is immature, ill-conceived and supercilious. It has ostensibly not learned from anything that came before it. Yes, there are references to history in some of the slide decks and posters, but that's it. Nothing from the past that worked is actually included in this lame excuse for a universal method. In my view, there are three main areas of concern regarding Agile at scale. The first is that it's not agile. The second, that it's like kryptonite to effective communication. And the third is that criticism of the cult is worse than heresy. If I had €1 for every mug who has told me that they are doing Agile, when in fact what they're referring to are firefighting bodges, inattention to reality, and making it up as you go along, I could have bought a filet in Canne on the proceeds. Take a look at any Agile at scale method and start asking questions about it. Here are a few I baked earlier. How do you manage requirements in the process? How do you manage change in the process? How do you manage quality in the process? How do you manage data in the process? How do you attain and maintain an overview of the process in each real case? How do you manage the process, and can you manage by exception? How do you ensure coherence of the process model? How do you ensure usability of the process model? How do you ensure auditability of the process model? And how do you model the non-linear triggering of events in the process model? Pursuing these lines of inquiry will inevitably lead to the highlighting of significant gaps, contradictions and inherent failings of the approach. It will demonstrate that the process is in far too many aspects structurally unsound, procedurally incomplete and business incompatible. Agile at scale is like kryptonite to effective communication. I am convinced that in communication, as with many other things, that simplicity is power. Maybe this is due to the fact that one of my academic loves is philosophy. Much has been written and discussed about the importance of terms, and more importantly the intentional and accidental abuse of terms. This has been widely discussed by people such as Chomsky, Adorno, Horkheimer and others. I've had a lot of experience of this, playing as I have in the IT space for a long time and knowing that term abuse has always been there. But in the last decade, the bullshit bingo, especially in IT, has gone interstellar overdrive, big time. And yes, that Pink Floyd reference and the term abuse were intentional. In my line of business, I have heard people use terms like vision, strategy, learning journey, by design, operating model, data dictionary, support points, roadmaps, GDPR and data privacy, and lean agile mindset, amongst others. Sometimes out of idle curiosity, and when these terms have come up in conversation, I've asked things like, so for you, what is data by design? Or, from your perspective, what is this learning journey lark all about? And in return have received that sort of look some dogs give you when you talk to them. Only when it comes to humans, you can be led to think, this person doesn't have a fucking clue as to what they're talking about. You know, that moment when you realize that the name of the game is bullshit. No understanding required. For example, take the term data by design. It's a classic bullshit term. A term used to pretend that something is new when it isn't. A term used to build credibility for a new fad when in fact it's just a new label for something borrowed from an old fad. What did we do before data by design? Data by accident? Data by implication? Dataless apps? Total bullshit, all of it. Worst of all, this term abuse hurts effective communication. No one knows what they're talking about. Everyone pretends that they know what they're talking about. But the proof that bullshit pervades every aspect of communication within Agile at scale is in the inability to actually deliver what might be required. Because the requirements are so mixed up with the bullshit of deceit that they are barely discernible and frequently unrecognizable, and therefore don't get implemented. Which leads me to criticism of the cult is worse than heresy. This is an aspect that I have touched on elsewhere in other blog posts. If Agile is a cult, then Agile at scale is like pieces of Scientology, the Vatican, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Church of England all rolled into one handy but extremely complex takeaway. As an aside, there is a great takedown of Agile on the internet by someone with the handle Agile Anon, called 10 Ways Agile Feels Like a Fucking Cult. It's hilarious and explains by way of comparison why Agile is a cult. It starts with the example of the us versus them mentality and how the Agile cult uses memes such as, you don't want to be like them. Those waterfall Prince 2 ITIL fucks, they're outsiders. They're has-beens. They suck. It also addresses claims that Agile solves all your problems. Want to be more productive, happier, better at work, healthier, respected, understand your co-workers and friends? Choose Agile. It will solve everything. You'll become a better person. Check it out. It's a keeper. What I simply want to do here is to emphasize beliefs, behaviors, and quirks found with some examples of Agile at scale that I have seen up close and intimate. Things like delusions of grandeur, the worship of half-baked ideas, the sycophantic adoration of what smells like the Führer principle, the bullying tyranny of some of the Agile at scale mob, the fixation with liturgy and fetish, the belief in the bizarre, like data is the new oil or data science is the sexiest job, the commitment to vague notions such as the data-driven enterprise. One could almost speculate that if Agile at scale were a political movement, it could well turn out to be like quite a nasty authoritarian and totalitarian party. So that's all, folks. Again, I'll lean on the words of Bob Hoffman when I state that these Agile at scale folk are so monumentally full of shit that they make bozos like me seem sensible in comparison. You get the picture? Knowing is one thing, but thinking you know when you don't know is self-deceit. Saying or implying that you know when you know you don't know is borderline deceit and fraud. You know, there are two kinds of people. People who simplify things and people who complicate them. The Agile at scale crowd love to complicate things. I'm of a very different view. For me, the simpler it is, the better it is. Many years ago, I embraced the philosophy of Mies van der Rohe, less is more, and I've used that to great success wherever I have gone. Well, except in places where they indulge in Agile at scale. People who really know how to simplify. People who don't know how to simplify need to bullshit, otherwise they're exposed as wanting. So remember, folks, when you say something that isn't true and no one believes, you're not only wasting time, money and patience, you are undermining your credibility and the credibility of your colleagues. And all the spurious PowerPoint support points and roadmaps in the world won't make your absurd claims any more believable or useful. Many thanks for listening, and until next time, this is your host, Martyn Jones of goodstrat.com, the Good Strategy Company.